Hello my loves, we're doing something a little bit different today. My name is Bronte Marie, I'm a diploma qualified makeup artist for film and television, and I want to walk you through my personal favourite eyeshadow formulas on the market as of the last 2 years. My opinion has drastically changed in that time, and I think I found some brands that people just really don't know about, so let me put you on. This is my personal Z palette where all of my favourite shadows live. Now you notice they're all shimmers because I have so many perfectly serviceable matte eyeshadows and they don't excite me. They are the groundwork for what I like to do, but they don't make my heart sing, if you know what I mean. So I keep all my shimmers in here and I have a couple of staple matte palettes. But today I want to start you off with talking about all these interesting ones over here. This is Glaminatrix Cosmetics. They are an Australian indie eyeshadow brand and they are just the absolute bee's knees. I'm not going to swatch all of them, but I am going to swatch my favorites. So we're going to do Gleam, Fire Orchid, let's do Party, and then I'll do Bloodstone so you get one of the deep duochromes. Now there's absolutely no way on earth that the camera is going to pick up how positively stunning these are in person, but I'm going to swatch them for you anyway and we're going to see together so we can play. When I received Glaminatrix Cosmetics first eyeshadow palette, like the first one I used, it was the Barely Basics or Beautiful Basics. That was the only eyeshadow palette I used for a while. I didn't want to touch anything else. This, oh, let's see if the camera will focus. There we go. Nope, it's not wanting to. Give me one moment. Look at this. Look at that. Gleam, Fire Orchid, Party. Oh, let me look at it. I completely forgot the name even though I just mentioned it. Just so creamy and so interesting looking on the eyes. They add, oh, that's actually Sparks. The deep dark one is Sparks. They're so interesting looking on the eyes. I'm wearing Gleam on my eyelids today. I layer this over everything to add some real magic to an eye look. A really textured, beautiful, duochromatic shimmer. If you want an entirely different indie brand, this is Queen Cosmetics. Let me swatch this for you again. I forgot to film this, my mistake. Queen Cosmetics Stargirl. They released like an Enchanted Woods themed eyeshadow palette a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. It briefly went off the market and then they came off with these individuals. And these individuals are the only other round pan eyeshadow palette I have in my Z palette. This bottom row is all Queen Cosmetics and they are just like that one you've just seen swatched. Buttery as anything. The color goes for days and they've curated some really beautiful staple shimmers that you could layer over a variety of eye looks without having to worry about, oh, this is actually a really niche color that doesn't work with these tones. These are really good flexible staples. Now, if you're looking at my Z palette and you're looking at all these beautiful textured shimmers on my right side, this side over here, you're like, but Bronte, if you love all of these, why do you have these little square pans over here? Well, let me show you. These are Half Magic Beauty. I own way too much Half Magic Beauty to reasonably state how much I own on the internet, but these are a different texture than the other shimmers, and if you're not into kind of a piecier, pronounced shimmer on the eyes, I think these will be for you. These are beautifully seamless duochromes. I'm going to swatch as many as I can for you. Let's start with these four. And the camera isn't focusing on anything, which is very useful for me, very useful. And then on this far side, I'm going to swatch Blushing Lizard, which is their very famous shade, and Wet Pebble. Wet Pebble is maybe the most opaque powder shadow I've tried for them, and I think that's for good reason. Let me show you. Now, these duochromes, really special, transparent toppers. They really bring pure reflect to the eye, which is not something you can find easily. I can put Blushing Lizard over pretty much any eye look and it will create not like a wet look. I think wet look is overused, but it'll bring a sheen and reflect to the lid without giving glitter, which is often an effect people prefer. Not me though. This one is just the perfect brown smoky eye shimmer, wet pebble. You can put that all over the lid and just smoke it out slightly. I've used it in previous Get Ready With Me's. Stonkin' gorgeous for my neutral gals. For my neutral smoky eye girls, this is yours. Once upon a time, I was a real Pat McGrath Labs mothership palette truther as of like 2020, 2021. But over time, I found that my problem with those palettes is that the matte formulas are a little bit tricky to blend, way trickier than they should be for the amount that you're paying for those palettes. And while the shimmers are special, once I discovered Glaminatrix, why would I want to fight with matte eyeshadows when I could use their dreamy matte eyeshadows in their perfectly curated eyeshadow palettes and pay a lot less? One interesting color curation. This is the Bonfire palette from Glaminatrix. Yes, we have a neutral aspect here, but do you see what I mean? There's a story here. It's not just rosy pink and bronze for the 4th or 5th time in a row. But if you love a neutral eyeshadow palette, they have those made interesting too. This is the Glaminatrix Nearly Natural palette. You see how you have tonal variations, depth variations, texture variations. It's giving Tati's textured neutral palette that became so terribly viral that was impossible to get if you weren't in the States. This, I need to put you on because you need to enjoy these with me, I fear. Moving on slightly, I want to talk about 2 indie C beauty brands that I think like you just die for if you have my makeup sensibilities, starting with Anthemy. Look at that palette. Is that not positively stunning? My hands are becoming very shimmery and miserable, so I'll only swatch a couple of these, namely that duochrome, and let's do like a lilac. Let's swatch a matte just to throw in something interesting into the mix, shall we? I find C beauty brands generally are just held to a different standard. I find that the curation with the palette works beautifully, the mattes are blendable and pigmented, especially if you're going into indie C beauty. And these shimmers, you're seeing that, right? I'm not hallucinating. One. Oh, that's a sexy shimmer, no? And the mattes, which never swatch as beautifully. Still pretty dang good, I reckon. Look at that. Even pigment. Very little patchiness that blends beautifully. What is there to complain about? I can hear some of you already though, and some of you are standing there saying, Bronte, I can't wear these colours. That's just way too much to wear on a daily basis, even though I wear them to my day job and I work in an office. It's a very nice office. This is not wearable for a lot of you. Understood. Let me give you an alternative recommendation that I think is very wearable while maintaining a nuanced and interesting color story. So this is a neutral eyeshadow palette that almost pulls more greeny gray in the most positively stunning way. This is the Elena palette by Shall We Makeup. I'll show you the front. Indie Chinese beauty brand. Oh. You're just gonna have to trust me on this one. If you like the Midnight Cowboy-esque, spacey, scattered glitter, it has one of those. If you like a duochrome, it has a really smooth, beautiful taupey purple over here. That purple that you're seeing, that's just the reflect showing up on camera. The base of it is like a grayish blue. And look at this little forest green corner. What a dream. I know some people find indie beauty really intimidating to get into to begin with, let alone when you start talking about indie Chinese beauty brands. It's like, what are you even meant to do there? Here's my guide for you. You can trust these brands because I've never had a bad experience with them. So if you're trying to figure out what you like, this might be better for you than buying the individuals, because you get different textural shimmers in here and you get beautiful light mattes to work with as well as your deep dark tones. I find a light matte in a palette is always smart because I can always use it as a blending tone, and on a deeper skin tone, really beautiful, interesting highlight. I like brands that think about the color curation they put into a palette instead of looking at a collection of colors and going, these are trending, shove those in there. I know you're going to ask, so I can show you matte eyeshadow recommendations. Not my favorite, frankly, but I do have one palette that I continue to reach for, which I will be getting the other colorway in because I find it's such a beautiful staple to build a look upon. That palette is the Danessa Myricks Groundwork palette in Blooming Romance. Half of the palette here will be cream, half will be powder. These are all beautiful rosy tones, which tend to be my preferred on a day-to-day basis. I find the formula is just reliable and great. These don't swatch terribly well, as mattes tend not to, but you can scroll through any of my social media and find maybe a half dozen to 2 dozen looks where I've used this. I also really enjoy all of the Danessa Myricks palettes. I just think this is a really beautiful, reliable brand. Actually, I've just looked at it, and one of the only eyeshadows I've ever hit pan on is Fearless from her 4th Lightwork palette. I'll show you that because I've hit pan on it, so obviously it's quite special. I'll show you it on the other hand though than all the swatching we've done. I'm going to be sad when this one goes. I don't think you're prepared for this. Would you like to take a moment, sit down, brace yourself? This guy, let me see. You layer this over anything, and it's got like both a blue reflect and a gold reflect. I wonder if I can get the, there we go, you're getting a glimmer of it. Whenever I want to feel like I'm being painted, like I want to look like a portrait of myself, if that makes sense, like an oil painting, I use that eyeshadow specifically. It's so, I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna walk away with an interestingly shaped Danessa Myricks palette sized in my throat because I'm just gonna eat this palette. It's so yummy. And those are all my favorite eyeshadows at the moment. I'm sure I'll think of more. Whenever I film these videos, I tend to walk away and go, oh, but I forgot to mention this and that and all of the above, which is why I don't make a ton of these videos. And I always add a caveat at the end that like, this is a list that's ever changing, but the brands that I've reached for here are very reliably in my wheelhouse. I have loved them. Half Magic, Glamonatrix, Queen Cosmetics. You make beautiful makeup. I'm very grateful. I hope if you try any of these products, you feel beautiful. I love you all so much, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye. Tell me if you like these more chatty videos too, because if you like them, I'll make more of them, which means you'll get more videos. Sometimes I'm just not inspired to sit down and like film my whole face from start to finish. It's a lot. I have to find stuff to talk about, and I'm not that interesting. Bye now.